Welcome, everybody. You're watching the Mahalaxmi show, the greatest show on the face of the earth, and a show that will bring you to a better understanding of who you are and a place that you can learn a full range of things and come away informed and a better person.
Ladies and gentlemen, namaskar and welcome. It's me, Mahalaxmi. You are watching the Mahalaxmi show. Without saying anything, I just want to welcome to my guest, blogger, radio host, and political illustrator, LanceScurve. LanceScurve, welcome to the Mahalaxmi show.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here. It's quite an honor.
Before jump into our topic, can you tell us how you are managing your day-to-day life during this COVID-19?
Well, basically, I'm not allowing fear to enter into my psyche. Things can happen. Planes can drop out of skies. Houses can catch on fire. Dogs can bite you. But initially, I don't let fear rule my life. I move about this earth in a confident manner, in an informed manner, and I try my best to take care of myself on so many different levels, mentally, spiritually, and physically. So now we have this thing that is out here. Some people say it's dangerous and it's real. Some people say that it's not. I like to be cautious and take the safe route. So cleanliness, washing your hands, taking care of yourself is the first line of defense. Your health. A mask is not going to protect you if your body is out of shape and you're not taking care of yourself. So that should be our first line of defense, taking care of ourselves and amplifying the state of our health.
So, okay, LanceScurve, let's change our conversation. We all know about George Floyd death, George Floyd
Yes.
incident. So how do you think about George Floyd incident?
Well, it's an incident that is amplified and all over the world right now. But I have to say that in the Black community, it's business as usual because there are so many unknown George Floyds that the world doesn't know about, that if the media doesn't choose to focus on it, they don't know. But those of us in the Black community, the African community worldwide, we know about this stuff. This happens all the time. And if you check the statistics, you'll understand that this is a common thing in the Black community. And even if it doesn't result in death, the severe beatings or harassment on a people who usually don't have the finances that get the best lawyer in court and therefore never really get justice. It's business as usual.
So whatever happened with George Floyd, those kinds of incidents happen over and over with Black African American people. Is this incident caused due to racism?
Well, you know, it's not a one-sided thing. Frustrations have built up over time. But then we have other factors involved. We had the frustration of the general public whose lives are being changed so greatly that it seems to be a mass movement bigger than what it usually is. And I believe it's because of the other factors of people whose lives have been impacted by this coronavirus or COVID-19, the frustration that they have, and they see that there is also a movement because of George Floyd. So it's easy now with your frustration to join onto something that you really usually wouldn't join yourself onto, you see? So it's something that I do think that may not play out too well. Now that the mass media has got it, the world has got it, the internet has got it, we're going to be watching this. But we know usually how these things turn out. It's going to be very interesting to see how it turns out now. Things to do in the development of America, but America was built on blood. It was built on savagery. It was built on rape. It was built on murder. And who are these people who've done that? I'm not saying this out of hate. I'm saying this as a fact. So many people will say, well, you know, I have nothing to do with that. I did not do that to you. But you are the beneficiaries. I'm not saying you personally, but many are the beneficiaries of what happened down the line. If you have a good friend that went and robbed a bank, and I'm quite sure you would never rob a bank, but they rob a bank and they get $50,000 and they're running from the police and they throw 25 your way and you take it. I'm not saying you would, but you didn't rob the bank, but you're the beneficiary of who robbed the bank. And so now, in fairness now, let's close that gap. The gap between white America and Black America, and it's not that cut and dry because we have many races here, as it's called a melting pot. But they love to categorize when they make their statistics. And also, here's an insert I want to say. Watch the news on CNN when there's a presidential race. Watch the news on Fox News when there's a presidential race. CNN sees something completely different. Fox sees something completely different. When you read any media, find out where the basic or what the basic backing is. Is this a Republican-based newspaper? Is it a Democratic or liberal or conservative? Because that slants the words. See? So the system is racist, and many in this system are racist, and they benefit from what happened, and they don't want to see what was done because they don't want to have nothing to do with the repairing of what was done. Our psyche, our mind, many of us are trapped, sadly. The trauma from slavery and what was done is passed down from generation to generation. Many of us don't feel we have options. Many of us on a spiritual level still feel that pain. Look, when you traumatize a mother who is pregnant, that trauma translates into the child. In Western medicine, they never want to acknowledge the full importance of total health. All they do is say, oh, you broke your foot? Let's fix the foot. But if the foot's broken, it affects you in your emotions, in your spirit. Sometimes we can walk around with guilt. Sometimes we can walk around feeling pressured or guilty of something, and it translates into a physical manifestation. So what you see now in Black America, where they say, well, listen, I came to this country. Many people say that, and I'm first generation. My mother was born here, but my father came from Jamaica via our homeland in Ghana, but he was born in Jamaica. So he came to the country, and he did well for himself, see? But he began to see the divisiveness between, even in the Black race, that when you come from this place, you're different than who's here. Or when you come from the motherland, Africa, you're different. And the attempt to separate us as one. There's a memo called Memorandum 46, and I want you to read this whenever you have free time. And that will be the beginning. If you don't already have an understanding, whoever's listening, that'll be the beginning of your understanding of what has been going on. This was communication between two government agencies. And that's all you have to do is Google Memorandum 46. And to break it down, it's not too long, but I'm just going to say it briefly. To break it down, this agency was speaking to another government agency saying that we cannot have the Black American connect with the Black people over in Africa, because the Blacks in America will let those people know how vicious we are and turn the Africans against the Africans in America, and then we won't have a chance to get at their resources. We must use media, we must use slander, we must bend the statistics and make the perception that we need to keep those people apart. So you see this in the Black race, and many other people don't understand it, that many from the motherland who have believed the lies put out there in the media, because media is very powerful, they come sometimes with a thought on how we are, and they're told to stay separate from us. And then many here say, well, you know, I don't have anything to do with those Africans. I don't want to live in mud huts. I don't want to go out there with hungry babies with the ribs sticking out and the flies on the face as they show late at night. So the brother from the Caribbean will say, hey, I'm from the Caribbean. I'm not from America. I'm better than you. So now there's division. When I went to Ghana last year, I saw none of that. That is a food producing nation. I saw gold in the rocks in the ground. Not everywhere, but it's abundant. But I say to myself, why would they say this about Ghana, which is not the whole, because that's one country on the entire continent of Africa, which has 54 countries. Why would they say this? To keep us separate. So that's part of a racist system to keep us from joining together, because those in power in America know how powerful we are here. Every area of expertise, we are there, we drive it. And if we were to be removed and unite with our motherland, the economy would immediately collapse, even though they minimize that. We have $1 trillion every year that we have as a Black community, which they say is 13%, and we're the biggest consumers and produce nothing. Every race, every culture, every nationality has the right, and most of them do. You go somewhere, you see Chinatown, you see Little Italy, you know, you see Little Korea. Beautiful thing, but where are we? And why can't we get to this point? A lot of us are damaged psychologically. A lot of us are hurt. A lot of us are made to feel like we don't fit in the system. And I can go on that part, but yes, America is a racist system, and it's like swimming upstream. But when you know the tricks of the trade, like myself at 57, maybe looking a little younger than my age, it's because I understand how the system works. And I don't expect too much, but I expect the most of what I do. Look, maybe people will say he's not the typical person who is black, because there's a stigma on us that's put on us. They say, wait a second, you write so well, you have an artistic talent, you know how to speak and articulate but I know many people like that, but the system doesn't shine the light on them. But going back one time to Africa, when you do see countries that have a tribal dispute, you see the UK, United States, they will give both sides weapons and stand back and let them kill each other off. Why? Because afterward they can go in and take the resources. If Africa shut down right now, the world, if you removed Africa off the face of the earth, the world would collapse. But it's minimized because they don't want us to connect with it, because they know that we will thrive. They want to keep us here in this racist system to drive it and use us indirectly as a modern day slave with the low wages, the promises of getting up in companies. And this is why I suggest to all of us, and really anybody, but those of us who have not seen success in the system, which is not built in for us to see success, is unify, start a business of your own, no matter how small it may be, focus on helping each other, because you don't see this kind of thing. You don't see Chinese who live in America shot down. Why? Because they're going to have to answer to China. They are connected to a huge country. You see, you don't see Indians from India getting shot down, right? Because look, there's a whole country that we have to deal with. But because we are disconnected from the motherland, understand that, and I have to praise the president of Ghana, his name escapes me right now, but he told America, he said, listen, if you want to do business with us, you cannot shoot us down like this. Yes, there are Black people who are not living proper. I believe in the mind, the body, the spirit, the soul, nature. I'm a very spiritual person. I don't like to step on a lizard. I don't like to kill a fly, but I will defend myself if violated, and I will defend anybody if they are violated, no matter who they are, because I'm for truth and righteousness. But since this world is so hung up on color, which when they say a white man, he's not white, he's pink. I'm Black, but do you see me looking like, those are categories. And we need to link back to our land and do what we need to do in our lineage, in our right, our birthright. Only when we do that, we don't all have to move to Africa, but to do international trade with each other, build each other up, have our own schools, have our own this. When others do it and have it, it's no problem. When we do it, oh, you're racist. Oh, you're a separatist. Look, if a person calls me a racist, I ask them how. I have no choice but to face the issues that my community has, and I have to look abroad and learn from others, and I can't demonize or focus on hating anybody, but I'm going to tell you the truth, right? So as I focus on the issues that we have, I do understand that through trauma, through the isolation, look, they have a thing called PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. There's a book written, post-slavery, post-traumatic slavery disorder, because these things are passed down. And this is why we're as messed up as we are, some of us, and we have to fight through so much. And this is why many are so angry, but they don't know how to express it. And it's like the world is not hearing you. So it's like going into a boxing match, but they tie your hands up and all you can do is take punches. So once you get that and understand the system, and this is my fight, I'm not anti anybody. I'm just pro my community to stand alongside with everyone in the human family, to be respected, to be included in the infrastructure of economics. But if we're not included, well, if we're not invited to the party, we have to have our own party,
How we can make our system better for equality?
Okay, this particular American system as it is now, This is going to sound harsh. It must be destroyed. And I don't mean destroy by hurt anybody, but the way it's set up, it must be destroyed and built up to be new again. And there are some things, and there's some things we need to speak about in having built the structure and the infrastructure for someone else, but never being paid for it. Now, I'll say this: money is not going to make everything all right because it took time to get that way. Say, for example, and I hate to use extreme situations, but I have to because this is an extreme world. Take a woman who has been violated in the worst way. I don't have that in my heart for anybody. But do you think you can say, well, I'm sorry, here's $1 billion to make up for the pain and suffering that you've been through? Is that going to make her right? Every time she walks down that dark street where it happened, is that going to make her feel safe? There's no compensation for that. It needs to be compensation. If you go to a job and you hear a supervisor or the one who hired you say, you ask them, well, how often do we get paid? Is it weekly? Is it bi-monthly? Or is it every month? Well, we pretty much feel you get paid. I can't really tell you when, but you get paid. That's not a good answer, because when you go to work, you're not going to have that good feel in your heart. It's already proven that we get less pay. It's already proven that we're the first fired. We're demonized on these jobs. And yes, there are some people who may underperform. I'm not saying we're all perfect. I'm not saying that. And if you commit a crime, you need to do the time. I don't believe any man should rape a woman. I don't believe any man should rob a store, rob a bank. I don't live like that. I was taught from my father, who's from Jamaica. The work ethic he put in me, I work day and night if there's something that I want. I never take anything from anybody. My father raised me not even to go and look in a woman's handbag. So when my wife says, honey, could you go in my bag and reach in there? I can't reach in there. I hear my father's voice. I got to bring the whole bag. So it's a matter of teaching us who we are as men. We're not taught to be men in the society, because when you stand up too strong, when there's too much bass in your voice, when you're assured that you're working towards your goal and your plan, here come many forces making it harder on us to survive. So you have to know how to get through the system. But this system is flawed. It's built on death, destruction, and domination. And when you look at the history books, this is not me. When you look at the history books, who is it that is responsible for the death, destruction, and domination all over the planet? Who is known as that child who's the problem child in the classroom? We have the class clown, but we always have the one that's starting trouble, right? Who is that child? If you really look at history, who starts wars? Who rapes countries of their resources for their corporate gain? And they paint themselves in the movies and the media. We are the heroes. We believe in freedom and justice and equality for the world. America, they're the police of the world. That's their designated position. And then you have the Vatican and you have the Queen, but that's a whole other subject, and we don't want to flavor it that way. But by me saying that, many will know exactly what I'm talking about. But it's a worldwide system. America is just really one arm of it. And we're suffering all over the world. And we're demonized. And it's really a heartbreaking thing when you realize that even me as a young man, they said, oh, he's a handsome young boy, whatever. But when I began to get muscles, when I lifted weights, people see me coming down the street and they lock their doors. And I'm looking like I'm not a threat to anybody, but I'm treated like a criminal. And some embrace that after a while out of frustration. Okay, you think I'm a criminal? I'm going to be that on a lower level. But if we are all thugs and criminals and wayward women, what is America for what it's done to the people all over the world? The things that we don't know. America has so much blood on her hands. If you have someone who has lots of blood on their hands and has done so much and paints it as something else, because even like Nazi Germany, they built it up where you had to go after the Jews. And the propaganda in the newspapers that they had, and I believe they had some type of broadcasting, not like now, but it was slanted against someone. So when you see in the movies that we are the criminals. You turn on the news at night, and there's always one of us pushed up in the front. But when it's somebody else that commits a crime, they usually don't show the face. But every little thing and the way the police treat us is no different than the overseers on the plantation. But the system has to be, I don't mean by any violent means, but look what's happening now, even though I feel it's engineered and many people don't understand that. So even now, you'll never see me out there protesting. You'll never see me out there making noise and crying and yelling out and screaming for fairness and justice to the very one who benefits from me being downtrodden, who benefits from my hard work and labor going back in my bloodline. Why would you? Turn your energies inward. Disconnect from the system. The best way to beat the system is disconnect from the system and unify as a people. Not to gang up on anybody and do anything bad. No, but to heal yourself. Even in nature, when you see an animal out in the wild and he's sick, you don't see him anymore. Where did he go? He went up in the mountains, went up by a cave and just ate some vegetables and some grass and lay down and sleep and rest himself, fast and detach himself. And when you see him again, he comes back. We need to have a plan for ourselves. Anywhere you see a president go, they say, yes, the Jewish community. Yes, the Indian community. Yes, the Irish community. Yes, the LGBT community. But there's no agenda for the Black community. But we're there. And we've made America to be what it is on the good side. And there's some bad things there too. But in a dysfunctional family, which America is, we have to have the conversations that are not comfortable. And it's very uncomfortable for many, but the truth must be told.
Even after George Floyd incident, people are doing protests very aggressively. Do you think this is solution?
No. Protesting? No. We've been protesting all of our lives. Where has it gotten us? You can't vote your way to freedom, so politics is not the answer. The only thing that politics can do is you vote somebody in locally and you can petition them to put new lights or fix the road. But basically, the electoral college is what decides who the president is going to be. So politics are beyond our reach. We're like that little kid trying to reach the box of cookies on the top shelf with no ladder. We can't do it. So bottom line is, like, protesting is a waste of energy. Why? Are they going to have they turned around and made any laws? There's always some civil unrest. There's always some anger, but it's nothing wrong with being angry. It's how you act out on that anger. I'm angry, but I'm righteously angry. So I would never look to do something, break somebody's business, or there's something I have to answer to for that. The way for me is to detach and build something on my own. If you don't want me here, if you're not going to include me, I'm going to build my own, which we should anyway. That's the whole thing about America. America, they say, opens its doors to everyone. You have the Statue of Liberty. It's all beautiful for some people, but we were brought here against our will. And we were never made to feel as though we were included. And now, since let's build our own. That's the only way. But protesting is not going to do anything. It's really falling into the trap of what they want. This is a controlled demolition of America. America has been hollowed out, resources used up. What do we really produce? When they speak about the gross domestic product, right? And they say, wow, America is producing within the borders so much different things, but usually that is up during a war. How do we benefit when there are tanks built? How do we benefit when there are missiles built and planes of war and all types of, how do we benefit from that? This is why every few years we have to go to war with somebody, because our gross domestic product goes up higher. But guess what? Who benefits from that? The corporate entities. Who's bailed out first? The banks, after they misuse and steal people's pensions. You see, they're not going to allow a person like myself to speak this way. So you can't get up here angry and call people names and take something and throw. What is that doing? If you're a boxer, you know you're going to get hit. You're a professional. You know the opponent is going to hit you. You catch a blow. Do you get angry and punch him between the legs or elbow him and knock him down? No, you have to take that, but you have to strategize. You must have a strategy before you step into that ring. So before we make progress, we have to have a strategy. Protesting is wasted energy because guess what? You're going to get arrested. We got facial recognition right now. We have technology beyond our wildest dreams that if we can marvel at a cell phone, we're 50 years behind. They're making robots now that can talk that look like human beings. You can start to see these things online, but they've already done that. They're just showing us what they've done years ago. And if we go the protest route or trying to violate somebody else, it's not good. You have to live a disciplined life that is focused. The sun is a very powerful force. It feeds all life on this planet. But do you see the sun burning anything? But if you take a magnifying glass and hold it over a piece of paper, when it's a sunny day, it concentrates the sun's rays into one point and it can burn the paper, it can burn a house, it can burn a whole community if focused and concentrated. Protesting is reactionary. Something happens, we get mad. Why are you getting mad? You're mad because you haven't been doing what you should be doing, which doesn't depend on anybody else. Whether there's a George Floyd situation, a Trayvon Martin situation, situations that regularly the media focuses on happens. There are thousands of us that are getting killed every year, but the media may not focus on it, but they focus on the fact that through imbalanced laws, an imbalanced economy, lack of opportunity, frustration, and the trauma that we've received, we do things, but then that's amplified up. Prisons, it's corporate business, it's big business. It's a slave ship on land, and we fall into the trap. Discipline yourselves, come together with yourselves, focus on a business, but many of us don't do that because we've been trained to hate ourselves. We've been trained to hate our nose. We've been trained to hate our lips. We've been trained to we hate each other. Not all of us. Religion also for the Black community needs to be removed. We need to deal with things without emotionalism. We need to not look to something in the sky. I'm not trying to insult anybody, but we need to do what we need to do. Everybody else in every other community is doing good. They have problems too, but they focus on it and deal with it, and they work together. We don't work together. I'm going to tell the truth. I'm not going to sit here and try to make it seem like the whole world is bad and whatever, but because of what happened to us, we don't work together, and because of that, many of us will be vanquished and won't be here. And those are the first ones who want to cry and say, hey, I'm going to protest, which is misdirected energy. You do not need to be out there screaming, making noise, because the government and the powers that be already know what we're going through. Disconnect yourself from this illusion of a system that you are promised to, that's going to help you to succeed. Disconnect from that and build your own rock solid. And the only way to do that is unity, but not protesting. Protesting doesn't work. No, it doesn't.
Even during this protest,
Some of protesters, they are damaging property. They are burning down the building, car, public vehicles.
Yeah.
So what do you want to tell those protesters?
Well, from where they stand, they feel that what they're doing is right, but really look at it in the long run. The risk that you take doing that, well, it's a sign to some here in America, but what you need to do is unify with your people in your community, save your money, focus your money while it has some value left, because I do feel that the American dollar this year is due for a massive collapse. Set up your own infrastructure, set up your own businesses. That way, you are beating those who want to hold you down in a system that doesn't want to help you out for all that we've done as a people down through the centuries. Okay, don't expect reparations. We're owed that, but you know what? We'll cut our losses. We're not looking to you for anything, but don't look to us to spend money in your shops. We have a lot of money that we make. So if we pull that back, not just for one day, but forevermore, and build our own. We had it, Black Wall Street. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it was a community back early on, I believe in the 1920s, that it was a Black community, so many millionaires, so many businesses, it was thriving, and government planes came and bombed it, but they'll never teach you that in the history books. So there is a faction of people, powers that be, that are against Black wealth, Black unity, Black excellence, which should not be a threat to anybody, because I'm not against anybody else as long as they're fair with me. But if they're looking to leech me, use me, rip me off, then we have a problem. If we deal with each other fair, but it's got to happen at home first. It's got to happen in the mind and the psyche of all African people all over the planet, that we need to come together and stop going up the wrong road. The protesting will do nothing. That's crying. That's like a kid in Walmart or Target or any supermarket who asked their mother for a box of cookies. They asked them for some ice cream, and the mother said, no, we can't afford it, or no, I'm not going to get that for you now because you need to eat healthier. And now the kid is screaming, ah, and throwing himself down on the ground and screaming as a form of protest to force that mother to give in. Many mothers do, but many mothers don't do that. Realize that you're not going to get the most effective return on protesting again and crying to the very one who cares for you not anyway. Politicians, that's not the answer. The protesting at these places, knocking in wind, what is that going to do? Because look, you do that, the business has insurance. They just get it fixed back again. But if you get arrested now, can you get a job anywhere if you're a felon? Most places don't take felons for jobs. If you're a felon, and many need to think this, you won't be able to leave this country. If you are a felon as of now, you can't travel anywhere else. You now are controlled. It's a big world out here. And most people that I know, when they come here from other countries, they're curious for the first time. They experience the things. They come to Disney. They might go to New York City and see the Statue of Liberty and the big buildings and stuff. But when I ask them, I say, well, would you come here to live? First thing I hear them say, no, I wouldn't. Nice place to visit, but I wouldn't want to live here. And so many of us don't have the expanded mentality to know that it's a huge world out here, and this is just one small place. America really isn't the epitome of anything anymore. There are many better places to live depending on your personal preferences. So we need to expand our mind, see ourselves as global citizens and not just as American citizens. Because as long as we are American citizens in our mind, we will be a minority. And that word alone is a very damaging word. That word alone doesn't give you too much power and strength. It doesn't embolden you. It doesn't empower you. But when you go now on the world scope and realize that African people and all people who are not Caucasian are the majority, that's not a bad thing. So you break free of those chains. That's why they don't want us to expand our mind and get into Pan-Africanism and to get into dealing business with the motherland, because that will automatically empower us, not just to have money to buy things, but to secure our future and to have our own. When you have your own, it's pretty much, when nobody can manipulate you. You're a young lady. If a young lady goes on a date and she has no money, and the guy that takes her out on the date, he has complete control over her, because how is she going to get home? How is she going to eat? How is she going to choose the movie that they're going to go see? But if she has her own money and the gentleman is rude to her or tries to violate her or disrespect her, she can say, listen, this date is over. I'm going home. Never call me again. That's what we have to have for us. But begging the person who violated us on the date, or begging the person who uses us and doesn't want to be fair with us, that's no good. Protesting is not going to do anything. It's not going to do anything. And they make it seem as though this is all you see. You can have 10 black men break it in a window and they'll get a closed-in shot and play it over and over and over and over again and say, this is what's happening in Minnesota, this particular neighborhood. This is what's happening in Las Vegas or Austin, Texas, or whatever. And we see it and we say, oh man, they're right. There's a lot of them out there, over and over and over. And it brainwashes the people so that when now the military steps in and martial law begins, it's the beginning of the end. Already life now is not going to be the same ever in America. What we have done, what has happened, it's coming now. This is just the beginning. If COVID-19 went away, if they can erase what happened with George Floyd and make him alive again and take that away, the momentum of what has happened, the breaking point, this is the beginning. You get that shiny brand new car and they say, well, your credit is excellent. You don't have to pay anything. You're driving around feeling so good. Then the first note comes, right? And you say, oh man, this is so much money. And as the car devalues, you're paying that same note. It's like you don't feel right anymore. You see? So like I said, protesting, put a positive spin on your day so that this day moving forward, you do things that leave you incrementally better off on a mental, spiritual, physical level, knowledge, and financial, and even more categories. Incrementally, if you can make yourself better as a person and learn and don't catch the hits. Floyd Mayweather fought for 51 times and never lost. He got hit a few times, but one of his things was defense and not getting hit. It's not so much how great of a fighter or great of a person you are, it's minimizing the effects of the blows. You see? So I could be the best scientist, I can be a brilliant scholar, mathematician, business person, but if I get locked up for burglary or holding up a bank, there goes my career. It's so hard to build up and it's so easy to knock down, especially when you are a melanated individual in the society. You see what I mean? Because this society is set up so that one person, I'm not just saying one person, but to keep them on top. Anybody else can come on in, but we as Black people must be kept on the bottom. Black excellence in this country, and maybe this is a way of thinking that many don't understand. Doesn't mean we want to take over anybody or beat anybody down, because really and truly, we're a very forgiving people. They paint us to be so aggressive and violent and whatever, but who really on a world scale has been aggressive and violent? Who was the one? Where they may put us on the news for a young man 16 years old for stealing a few candy bars on the news. Who are we for dropping bombs on countries? Who are we for giving weaponry to two sides of a tribal dispute so the unstable country can drop down, putting other countries in debt, interest rates high, choking them off all over the world? Who are we for that? Who is America for that, compared to the person who might be the little criminal that on their news they make it seem like it's something so big? When you really dig down into the so-called elite, when you really dig down into the bloodlines that rule this world and who have been ruling this world, and how wicked they are, they're against humanity. And there are many who are made to feel that, oh, you're okay now. It's not like that. Some people say, well, I came and made it. Why can't other people say or do? Or why can't Black people do that? Some have. But from schooling, from young, we're indoctrinated. From the television set, the first time we see it, we're indoctrinated. We are raised to be nothing in this place. You see? You can't take a child who's a newborn baby and he's looking for the mother's nipple and you go to feed him on a horse. What's in that horse? You see what I mean? That's to feed the little baby horse, is not for that human child. So we've been indoctrinated from birth. Everything that we are is looked at as bad. Everything that is white and Caucasian is looked at as good, you see? And they look for us, those who look to break the shackles that they have on our minds with our greatness, the energy. They will allow us to excel in athletics. But it's no different than the plantation, because that's safe for them. But look who's in the stands, who's making the money. They can say this one, Michael Jordan made this amount of money, Mike Tyson made this amount of money, but who is really making the real money? Who's benefiting from us? You see?
After Joe's death, people are doing protest almost every day.
Yeah.
Do you think this is just for George's justice, or
no, it's not.
Is there any political issues going on?
Well, this is the thing. I think that this particular episode of the ongoing Kill a Black Man by the Police, a TV show in America, is more explosive. And we have others who are protesting visually. You see them on the news, and people say, you know, it's kind of funny because now we see Caucasians next to Black people protesting. We know that there have been some in the civil rights movement and whatever, but in the modern day, this seems to be something that is really, really astounding. This is different. What is it? Is it that those whites have come to knowledge out of nowhere within the last few months and woke up and said that these people are human beings and we need to fight? This is what I feel. I can't say believe because in my heart, really, I gotta say I know it. This is what it is. Life has changed since COVID-19 came around. From the end of last year, it was around in China, they say, then it comes around to America. And when the new year came in, we were doing business as usual. Happy New Year. You know, wow, you know, I have plans this year. We're going to go on that cruise. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. But then COVID-19 came around and changed everyone's life overnight. You see? And those who may be privileged, whether it's white privilege or the privilege of having accumulated some funds where they live a grossly different life than others who may be downtrodden. Of course, there are downtrodden Caucasians also who don't feel the benefit of white privilege, right? Within the white, or I'm saying white, I said white, pink, whatever, but within their race, there's a hierarchy also. You know, you have the affluent who says, oh, I'm better than you because you're trailer trash. You see what I mean? So we have all these different divisions going on in America, but many who are with us now, who are protesting, and I say us meaning as a race, because I'm not protesting, they are angry that their life has changed now. They are upset that their illusion of a life, which to believe or think you know about the American system is a setup for failure, because I know it for a fact is paper thin. And I knew for a very long time America would fall. And it's not, I'm not rejoicing. I don't want to see people hurt. I don't want to see babies hungry. I don't want to see mothers looking forward to the future with uncertainty. I don't wish anything. But these are things that if you check my writings and my artwork and my talk shows, I've been speaking about this stuff for years. And the bottom line is that that cookie that you had snatched away from you, that television program that you're watching and you're so into, somebody came and cut it off. What do I mean by that? Life has changed and things have been snatched away for those who believe in the American existence as you see it on TV. Work, make some money, have some good food, and do whatever you want and just live happily ever after. It doesn't work that way. And so they're frustrated now. So they're protesting not because they see George, some may say that, but the real deal is that they don't have what they used to have. And so now they're jumping down and joining us. But if they had their life not changed through the whole COVID-19 and the economy shaking and the housing market about to crash, who's buying houses now? Who's buying cars now? This thing is going to set into motion a whole lot of things, and people have yet to suffer even more. There might be a food shortage here, which meat doesn't matter to me because I'm a vegan. But like I said, they're frustrated for their own reasons, but it appears as though we're side by side. And I have a hunch that it's not as sincere. Also, there are agents out here who are provoking the protest. I get news from people from the streets. They're not of the streets, but I mean, they're out in different parts of the country and different parts of the world. And I found out that they have a mall, the fashion mall in Las Vegas. That's not the full name, but that's part of it. Nothing but white men holding up protest signs, dozens of them, not one black person. And they're looking around and they're the only ones there. They weren't screaming or yelling, but there were a couple of cop cars and a couple of buses there. What are the buses for? To bring back people that are locked up for going in there to protest. You know, they're trying to provoke this. This is like a controlled demolition. And to provoke what you think is reality, because the main thing is that most of us get our news from the television. Most of us get our news from the internet. And those words are slanted and controlled to make us get caught up in emotionalism. I speak to people from all over the world every single day. You see, every single day. Here's something on the news that may sound controversial or against the people of that country. I have a list, different countries, different people I can go to. And I ask them, I say, well, listen, is this, what is this situation really about? And then 9 times out of 10, they tell me something far vastly different than what you see on the news. So you've got to consider the source when you hear something. Fact check it. Get a full perspective on it so that you know. But back to the original question, I feel that it's because they're uncomfortable now. Those who may not be Black, whose lives have changed and have lost their job, they're going to lose their apartment, they're going to lose these things they never had to deal with before. So, hey, this is something already in motion. Let's go on in there and protest, which it may not be just because of George Floyd, because George Floyd is every day in America. And most people ignore that. It doesn't even get reported on. Not most of my friends, 85% of my friends, and I know some friends of mine who are retired police officers, and I have no problem with them, but 85% of my friends growing up, I'll say, right? Because many have done good, many are locked up for life, many are dead. That's the sad part of it. It's a very lonely existence from this end, but most of them have had some run-in with the police on a really bad level, myself included. And it has scarred me, but it gave me compassion to those who are treated wrong. Again, you can be Black all you want to. I'm not going to give you a pass if you do anything wrong. Don't come to me and say, hey man, I'm Black, man. You know how it is. No, I work hard. I discipline myself all my life. So I can't understand that. You're not supposed to steal. You're not supposed to damage anybody's property, but you have the right to protect yourself, your family, and anybody who you see having any damage to them. If I see you anywhere and somebody's trying to do something bad to you, I'm going to protect you. I'll give a limb for you. I'll take the blow for you because it's the righteous thing to do. Right and wrong, that goes above race. That goes above all these divisions that we have. The right and the wrong. Is this right? And in my stance on standing up for African people worldwide, I'm going to stand up for them. But I'm not going to sit here, like I say, and just let something go on because that's on me. That's a test for me. That might be the very incident that keeps me from ascending to a higher level of spirituality or the next level of existence. And know that I say spirituality, not religion.
I heard a lot of police brutality against the Black African American people.
Mm-hmm.
So how Black people will avoid those kind of incident in future?
How can we stop it? Well, the police department, for the most part, is not on point. They're crooked. If you have people say, well, they're bad cops and they're good cops. Well, why are the good cops so quiet when these things happen? Day in and day out, those of us who have a dealing with police in our daily walk. Some of us live lives where we're not even around. We drive our car, go to work, and that's it until we're pulled over. But those who have to walk or take public transportation or walk down the street late at night in certain, I'll say plantations, really, because the money you make determines where you live. So when they have this place called hood or ghetto, which ghetto was originally a Jewish term for where Jewish people lived. So now we say hood. Many of those people are hardworking, many of those people sacrifice, and many things go on there that are not too good. But they can only live there because of the amount of money that they make. The economics determine where they are. So if you make X amount of money, you're going to live in a place that many of us who live other places say, ooh, I don't want to live there. But they have to because they don't make any more money. So now you're going to have a different dealing with the police. And there will be those who sell drugs. There will be those who prostitute. There will be those who pull out a gun and stick you up. But then there's also people who are going to their job, staying in their homes, raising their families to be on a higher spiritual level, but we don't see them. And so when those walk out in the street, they may get demonized by the police because they will look at us as though we're all the same. You see? So how do you stop it? You got to minimize the contact. This is a crucial time. And many people might not like what I say because they'll say, well, listen, I'm an American and I have the right to do this and do that. On paper, you do. But many of the things that you go, that you feel you have, we don't have the right. Do you really have the right? Me as a black man walking down the street, and say if I was living in a downtrodden neighborhood called hood, cops will look at me and like, what's up with this guy, this big black guy? Hey, what's going on? They're not always going to be so respectful. Not only the time when I had the 11 cops beat me down, but I've been followed, had lights shine on my face, sitting on my own front steps when I lived in New York City, cops shining a light and telling me with profanity to get inside my house. I'm on my property, I'm not bothering anybody. The harassment, the little things that add up to the big things, many people from the outside don't see. So to stop it, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said many years ago that you need to self-quarantine. He didn't use the word quarantine, but in this war on us that is ongoing, a drug overdose here, who's locked up for selling drugs or hurting somebody, if they do something, hey, just stay out of the street, live a life of purpose, stay home, do what you do until things change. All you're going to do is have a bunch of police officers patrolling the streets in these different neighborhoods with nothing to do. And it's not going to happen. Dry up. The biggest revenge. And I used to work as a correction officer in a prison and in a jail, right in there, talking with those who were in there all day long. So I would tell them, you want to get revenge on the system? Stop crime. Not that you're the only ones who are committing the crimes, because the black community really commits, if they're 13% of the population, go figure, there's no way they can be committing the majority of the crimes. And because now the imagery of the inner cities, when they show us in the so-called hoods, we're really compacted together. So it looks like all of us live this way when they put it on TV. But the fact of the matter is, even with welfare, Black people in America are not the majority of those who receive welfare. It's Caucasians and farmers in different categories. We're not even high on the list. But the perception is, oh, look at those people on welfare. They're getting free money. They're lazy. They're doing nothing. But we were never called lazy when we worked for free. Isn't that something? When Black people were working for free under slavery, they were never called lazy. And if one looks lazy now, you know what I'll say? They're tired. They're tired of the system. But that's one way. You unify, you live a life of purpose, you leave them alone. If you ask me, how do you reduce the incidence of snake bites? Well, guess what? I'll say stay out of the bushes at night. Watch where you walk in the day. Be very careful where your feet go. And I bet you it will be greatly reduced. If you reduce your contact with them, if you self-heal and self-police yourself and live a life of discipline and focus, like I said, focus, like myself. If I have no reason to go out here when I know there's certain, and I don't stay in from fear now. I don't have much fear in me. I've tasted a little bit off of the table on buffet of life. I know birth, death, having money, not having money, demonized, and I know it all. So this is why I'm in my artillery and dealing with this system. It's not going to get me. I'm too smart for that. I'm too strategic for that. And I'm going to grow. And I'm going to be an inspiration to my people and all who understand where I'm coming from. Look one day, read Malcolm X, the autobiography of Malcolm X. He did home invasions. He sold drugs. He did all kinds of things in the street. And look at what he turned out to be. You see? So we have to give people a chance, but we have to get past that point where we can have our life snuffed out or become incarcerated, because that's what they're there for. Other communities don't look at it that way. Other communities, I don't even think, have to deal with that. When you go into the Asian community, do you see police patrolling up and down, aggressive and shining lights on people? Because they know the Chinese community is unified. And they're going to have to answer to that, and they will get there. You don't see them in the Jewish community doing that. In New York City, Crown Heights, you have the Hasidic Jews, and they're out in the corners at night with their walkie-talkies, making sure that nothing's going to happen. And they very rarely have to call the cops because they have a presence there. And we need to do that for ourselves and let the cops know that these people are unified. They're not going for it. We have the videos and stuff right now, and they need to step a little better. And when something happens, legally, you go after those police unions. You don't try to sue the city and sue this person individually. You'll never get any money. But where they have their money for the pensions and stuff, sue the unions. Hit them where it hurts, in the pockets. Multifaceted, if you do these things, it's going to greatly reduce their lack of respect for you. Even if they have a lack of respect for you, they're going to respect you. You see what I mean? They're going to act as though they respect you, you know?
So, do you think George will get justice?
You mean George Floyd?
Yes.
Will he? There's so much doubt as to how everything played out. George Floyd, in my mind, there's a possibility that he can still be alive. Like I said, I feel that there's an element of this thing being staged. And if I go by the record, like when a person comes to a bank or a person applies for a loan at the bank, they don't say, oh, you have a nice smile. What do you want? 50,000? Go ahead. No, she's a nice person. Give her an extra 100,000. Why am I saying this? They check your credit. They see how you've paid your bills before. They check your record to see how you've been with your payments. And they look down the list and they say, oh, you have a foreclosure here, 3 bankruptcies, several repossessions. You haven't been working in the last 3 years. No, we can't do that. So now when asked if I think there'll be justice for George Floyd, I have to think to myself, in similar situations, has there been justice for all those who are in the same position of a George Floyd, if it is correct where he got killed that way? So my feelings on it have nothing to do with the reality. Now, if the reality is that it's on the up and up with what we saw, I'm crossing my fingers. Because how many times countless Black men and women have been shut down by bullets, killed, limbs broken and necks broken and chokehold, and the original I Can't Breathe brother there from Staten Island. I gotta say that there's a great chance that he won't get justice. And this is America. They will acquit these cops. Hopefully not, but we'll wait and see. If you really look at the track record of what has happened here in America time after time after time, and we have to realize that each man or woman that is killed, that's the beginning of an empire, because 2 people can procreate and have a decent family and have kids and teach them well and have grandkids and be so impactful on the world. So every time I see a Black man killed in this way, it just seems like it's by design. And it's taken us out of who we are and what we're supposed to be fruitful, to multiply, and leave the world a little better than what it was when we came here. So really, this is staged. I feel it's staged. I feel that he's not going to get justice, and that's to set off more riots and protests, so there's martial law coming in. I hope it's not that way. But after going to the casinos for several months and blowing my mortgage money all the time, nobody thinks I'm going to come back home with a jackpot. You know what I mean? So that's the reality that we have to deal with. It should already be known that we're going to get it. Why isn't that 1st-degree murder? Why is it 2nd degree? You know, why are certain things being held back in the media who can slant the public perception of a case? You see, we're living in a society that when George Zimmerman killed Trayvon Martin, a child, even if he was big and strong and he's a child, you had so many people donating hundreds and thousands of dollars to George Zimmerman personally because they cared. Most of them were, and I say cared sarcastically, we had like Walmart donated, we had big companies donated, we had private investors just give lots of money. These are our next door neighbors. These are the ones that some may sit next to in a church. These are some of the ones who are your coworkers. And so now we have George Floyd and those who are in the system, who control the system, who are going to make sure that their own are protected. I want to really lay back and see how this thing plays out. But I doubt very much if he gets total justice. And it's sad for me to say that, but my faith has been gone a long time ago in America in the system. But my faith now is in myself. My work ethic is in what I do. It's about what I do and what we do as a community, because when you failed too many times, you have a husband who, not you, but cheats on you time and time again. And every time he gets caught, he says it's the last time. When do you walk away from that situation? When do you look for a better situation? And that's where I am in my personal life.
Whatever happened with African American Black people,
Mm-hmm.
do they have any weak point?
Like well, we know that it does. It's all documented, but the media chooses. You know, it's like you're painting a picture, and you're painting a forest, and there's some sky that you see, and you're not usually going to use purple for that. You're going to use the green for the leaves and the blue for the sky, and a little bit of brown for the tree trunks and the earth, and you pick and choose what it is that you use to paint this picture. Okay, so with the media, they're always going to have you as a Black person looked at or demonized. And we can go down case by case and we can show you how it's done. But the general public, the majority of the American population, has no idea how it's done. But we who have it done to us, we know it well. Well, we're not going to cry about it or make something up. We see it clearly. So this is why it's very important that we have independent shows like mine and others and different platforms where people can speak and air out their differences and point out exactly what it is that has been done, because most people are not going to go there or reach out to somebody who has to deal with this. They're going to watch it on the television and it's going to seem like everything is all right. Look at it this way. I live in Orlando, Florida. In Orlando, Florida, there's a huge tourism industry. We have the theme parks with Disney and Universal, and there's a lot of money that comes here, right? This is the #1 destination for tourism in the entire world. We know Las Vegas is also, but Disney is more family friendly. So they make sure what they put on the news, because when you're in your hotel room in the tourist area, you're going to watch the news too. So they're very careful on how they paint things. But here in Orlando is one of the most vicious places as examples to live in. The crime rate, different things, but they will never tell you that to scare you away. Again, the weak spots that we have in our cases, and again, there are many, unfortunately, Black men and women who do things out of frustration, who do things for not having a way out. But as I heard a friend of mine say the other day, he said, you know, if everybody in the Black community was paid, had a good job, had hope for the future, had joy in their life, and not have to deal with an oppressive system, we would be so happy. And that's all we ask, is to have the same opportunity that anybody else has and not to be demonized. But the bottom line is, for one man to be on top, somebody has to be on the bottom. Look at the very architecture of corporate America. In corporate America, you have the CEO on top. It's like a pyramid. And the lower down you go in positioning, the wider it gets. But yet and still, they will tell you that you have a shot on becoming successful, okay? And you can be like me, you can be the CEO, but you can't turn the pyramid upside down and have everybody become the CEO. It's a pyramid scheme. The system, the way it's been taught to all of us, is not right. We all have a shot if we do our own thing. And again, if we have our own churches, our own schools, places of worship, whatever it may be for spirituality, I didn't mean to say church, but if we all have our own, we will have to deal with less and less of this. We'll be respected and will be dealt with fairly. You see? So for those who are out there who can't afford lawyers, good lawyers in a crooked system, which lawyers really you can look at and say that they're liars. They're professional liars because they can bend the truth in your favor as well as not. And so you have the judges, you have the district attorneys, you have all of this Masonic system set up against you. You see, because it really runs deep. It's not really a surface thing. This thing is layered so deep. It's like cops that are in the street that have to get a quota of speeding tickets for the month. So they're going to be more aggressive. They're not going to let you, when the quota is over, they lay back. You can fly past them 95 miles an hour. And if they're watching something on their phone and eating something, let them go. I got my quota for the month. Oh, wow.
Whatever happened with George Floyd. So as a Black African American people, what kind of things you guys are doing to stop those kind of incident?
Well, there are many groups, and the so-called groups that the general public will look to are not really groups that are in favor of our ascension into a better life. These are groups that are created by other people. They have this group called Black Lives Matter, and it was created by George Soros, and his history is very sordid, and I have no idea why he would want to, and I have an idea. It's an engineered thing, right? The NAACP, it wasn't created by us. It's not for us. It's political. It's manipulative, and they go for the photo ops. We have to start at the grassroots level. Again, we should not look to one organization or one leader. Every time something happens, they pull out the same old dusty people who are going to be spokesmen for us, but we never elected them into being our leaders. They'll pull out a Jesse Jackson. They'll pull out a Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton is an agent for the US government. They've erased all of his connection on Google. If you Google this, you'll see nothing about it because he's used. Al Sharpton is like a pressure valve for the Black community. When something happens to us and we're all crying, he comes now and he speaks truth to power. And he has some very good words when he speaks it. But it's like good cop, bad cop. You have a bad cop who comes in your face and threatens you and pulls the gun on you. And you have the other good cop who's working with the bad cop who comes over and says, listen, just do what he says and everything's going to be all right. I'll make sure everything is going to be all right. But he's just as bad as the bad cop. And when I say a pressure valve, an Al Sharpton will posture as though he's going to get something done. But what really has he done? Except give lip service. See? So when we hear these words and we say, yes, you're right, you're right. Somebody understands our plight. Somebody understands what we're going through. We then now leave it alone. And when the next week comes, as business as usual, and Black people are in the malls, spending their money with other people who may not like them, not looking to build up their own infrastructure on a financial level, their own schools, their own hospitals, their own lawyers, there's nothing wrong with that. Every community has that. Jesse Jackson, he's another person who is an agent of the government. Why didn't he get shot down when Martin Luther King got shot down? Why did Jesse Jackson walk around for 2 or 3 days with the same shirt that he had on when Martin Luther King got shot up and the blood splattered all over the shirt? And he found himself on every single television program that he could find himself on to do interviews with the bloody shirt on. That was their way of using emotionalism to usher him in as the next Black spokesman. But he is compromised. So that tells you that any movement that comes has to be a leaderless movement. It has to come from the unification of a certain common mindset, because no people are monolithic. In every race, every nationality, we're not monolithic. We all don't think the same way and see eye to eye on everything. But we have the majority of common plights, because with Black people, you have some who are Christian. With Black people, you have some who are Muslim. With Black people, you have some who are atheists. You have some who are gay. You have some who are educated, some who are poor. But when the back is turned, running away from that police officer out of fear when he sees that gun, that police officer never says, excuse me, are you a Christian? Oh, okay, you're a Christian? I'm not going to shoot you. You see what I mean? So we have to come together from the bottom up, but not look for an established organization who has done nothing. Now, I must say that doing what I do and having the amount of following that I do, my phone rings off all day, every day, and information is brought to me that I always fact check. I check it out. And okay, say for example, you have NAACP and somebody at, and I'll say it, it was a high tech company, some major company. They discriminated badly against this person who had a high position, and they were sexually abused and harassed. It wasn't a rape or anything, but it was really, it might as well have been, right? And when this person went to the NAACP to actually get some movement onto getting some justice, they said they could not do anything. And the reason why is that that particular company who that woman was working for was a big they donated lots of money to the NAACP. So it's almost like having lawyers on retainer, okay? You pay them ahead of time so they're working for you, so that they can't work for the next company that may come to sue you. So you're paying them ahead of time to keep them off your backside. And that's how America works. And there really is no fairness that way. So this is why we have to have our own unity and have everything in-house. I'm a firm believer of doing things in-house. When I started out doing things on YouTube and on the internet, I used to try to get people to help me and show me things. And, you know, once you started to get into a certain level, they turn their back on you or they want to rip you off. I said, you know what? I'm going to take years and build up my own empire. So I don't need to have anyone else or ask anyone else. And now I can create and flow and do everything in-house in every aspect of production. If I can think it, I can do it. My graphics, my audio, my video, the artwork, the website, all of those things I do on every level, every single day. So I have become my own job. I've empowered myself when many people thought that it wouldn't do it. Those same people are not working right now, but I took the time after work and before work to build up something that I believed in and I knew was going to work, and it's working out just fine. So I use that example. It's got to come from the inside. You have seeds of greatness inside of you. Water those seeds, protect those seeds, let them grow. But we're separated. Again, social distancing isn't about COVID-19. It's so that we don't get together as a people. You see, it's to keep us apart. There's a lot of things going on manipulation-wise.
So, LanceScurve, we are almost end of our interview. So do you have any message for George Floyd family? Do you have any message for Black people community, Black community? And do you have any message for our audience?
I'll speak on the overall audience, the overall human family. Don't just believe what you see on TV. Speak to people directly. Understand if you speak to one Black person or two Black people, you may get answers that are not the common answer. Look at where they're coming from. Look at the mindset. We have been through so much that all we want is a chance to do what others do, right? So for those who are in the Black community, don't be so quick to follow through and be pushed into a position that is not good for you. Think for yourself. Learn to be a thinker. I don't care if it's 1,000 people around me telling me something about someone else or another situation. I'm a thinker, and I don't care how unpopular I am. I'm going to stick with what my findings say, even when I'm not popular, because one day you'll see that at the end of the day, my observations were right. Stop being so emotional. Stop reacting. When you react, that means somebody controlled you, because you wouldn't have reacted unless there was an initial action. When somebody does an action to you, step back and think. And if you do act because you want to act, and that it's not a reaction. You see, so we have to be controlled, we have to be disciplined, and we're going to have to reject a lot of frivolous things that are here in the society. Eat better, improve your health, your mental health, your life, and live by principle. Fads will come and go, but principles never die.
LanceScurve, thank you very much being a part of Mahalaxmi show. It was a wonderful conversation.
It's been a joy. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much watching the Mahalaxmi show. Wherever you are, whatever you are doing, try to do best and try to be safe. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe our channel. Stay healthy and happy. Namaskar. Bye-bye.